Hey everybody, it's Trags alongside CLNS media colleague Alex Barth inside Gillette Stadium. Cut down day. The cut down to 53 players has come and gone. Biggest surprises for you, Alex Barth?
The biggest surprise for me is the wide receiver position. I'm not too surprised at the individual decisions. Berrios on the IR makes a lot of sense given how much he'd been playing. McCarron, I think, was a fringe guy to begin with. But when you put it all together, just 3 wide receivers, 4 if you want to count Matthew Slater on the roster. I don't remember the last time we saw any team, not just the Patriots, any team go into the season with that number at that position. Now, there could be a move coming later today or tomorrow, but Houston with that defensive front, I'm not sure this is the team that Bill Belichick says, okay, we can get by with 3 receivers for week 1 and then make the move. They're going to need to pass the ball like we saw last year against Houston. And as Bill Belichick says, all offseason, training camp prepares you for 2 things. It prepares you for the 16-game season, but it also prepares you for week 1. And with 3 wide receivers, I'm not sure how prepared the Patriots can feel going into week 1. I thought that there'd be another body here.
Okay, I counter that by saying what Philip Dorsett told us in the scrum here on Sunday afternoon, and that is there were a lot of different passing options just beyond the receiving core, and a lot of people are going to focus on 3 receivers being on this roster. We're not including Matthew Slater, who's going to get his obligatory deep ball, as he always does. So 4 if you include Matthew Slater. But there are guys like James White, Rob Gronkowski, and certainly Jacob Hollister. When you throw all of those names into the mix, I think there is enough to get through the first week of the season for Tom Brady to have enough passing options.
And you mentioned the running back position. I think a lot of people thought Ralph Webb would kind of sneak his way onto the back end of the roster at the end, and I think the running back group they kept is very tailored to the way they're building this team right now with the 3 wide receivers. Look, would another option out of the backfield be good? But I think that they know defensively they're going to have to help Tom Brady out. I believe the number I saw yesterday was 29 offensive players for the Patriots, which is a little lower than where they normally are. They're a little lower, a little thinner on the offensive line in terms of numbers, not in terms of talent, where they usually are too. So I think that they understand. They're looking at the Super Bowl last year, and we know Bill Belichick, he bases his offseason grades. 50% of that grade for individual players and for units goes on the last game of the season, whatever it may be. So it's going on last year's Super Bowl. And I think we see that in this team. He knows that Tom Brady is going to be Tom Brady. They don't need to spend as many resources getting the weapons around him as much as Brady would like it when they have a guy like Rob Gronkowski. They put the resources into the defense. They built up that defense to avoid another situation where they put up a high number of points, where they can put up 400, 500 yards and still be in a close game. We saw it time and time again last year, specifically against the Houston Texans, who will be here week 1. That's the situation Bill Belichick wants to avoid because they were very successful in those games last year, but Bill Belichick knows all too well that was luck. That to a certain extent, that was luck. You don't win those games at that rate if you keep playing that style.
Okay, there are 3 names that I want to bring up with you regarding cut down day. Brandon Bolden did not make the cut, a veteran, special teams player extraordinaire, and obviously somebody who has running back experience in the Patriots offense. He did not make it, but 2 players that did make it certainly could show up on special teams, and that is Keontae Davis, who is a defensive lineman who has impressed, and Geno Grissom. Yeah,
they kept 2 extra defensive ends, let Vincent Valentine go, but that's the deepest group. If the Patriots are going to afford to let talented players go, it was at that defensive line position. They are so good in that spot. That's probably top to bottom their best position group. The Brandon Bolden thing's interesting. When we were in the locker room earlier on Sunday, his helmet's still in his locker. We saw them do this with him last year, cut him to have a little more flexibility, and he could be back perhaps as early as Monday. Maybe he's not on the team for week 1, and then he's brought back after that. But not much of a surprise there. There is a heavy focus on special teams, like you mentioned. 7 players, it looks like, on the roster, and then you can bump that up to 8 if and when Bolden comes back. 7, potentially 8 players solely allocated to special teams. Well, most teams, they have their core 3, the snapper, the kicker, the punter, and then maybe 1 or 2 more. The Patriots are putting almost 10 players out of a 53-man roster into special teams, and no other team seems to value it. I'm not sure why. It's won the Patriots games in the past, and Bill Belichick's gearing up for it again.
Bill Belichick has always said special teams is a full third of your functional personnel on game days, and certainly by his actions on cut down day, he is putting his money where his mouth is.